This is the Unit 2 review sheet, linear relationships. Number 1 asks for the graph of a function is shown below, and it's broken into sections. Section N, Section P, Section Q, and Section R. It says describe each section of the graph, linear, nonlinear, increasing, and or decreasing. So N is this section right here, and that is linear and increasing. P is this section right here, and that is linear and increasing. Increasing because it's going up from left to right. Q is this section here, and that is linear. And it's not increasing or decreasing. The slope is 0. And then one more. You got section R is linear and increasing. Increasing because it goes up from left to right. There are no decreasing parts in this graph. Decreasing would go down from left to right. Number 2, an owner of a coffee shop compared the amount of hot coffee per day in fluid ounces sold and the daily high temperature in degrees Fahrenheit per day. Says her data are shown in the scatter plot below, and this is called a scatter plot. A says draw a line of best fit. When you draw a line of best fit, you have to draw a line through the middle of all the points. So I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to draw a line directly in the middle of all of the points, just like that. Should be a straight line directly in the middle of all the points. B says how many fluid ounces would the coffee shop sell if the temperature is 90 degrees. So I'm going to go to 90 right here and go up and across, and according to my trend line, they would sell 300 fluid ounces. How many fluid ounces would the coffee shop sell if the temperature is 40 degrees? So I'm going to go over to 40, go up to the trend line, and go across. And according to my trend line, they would sell 600 fluid ounces. And then it says how many fluid ounces would the coffee shop sell if the temperature was 0 degrees. 0 degrees is right here. I would go up to the trend line, and according to my trend line, they would sell 900 fluid ounces. And that question, pretty easy. Number 3, which line represents the best fit for the scatter plot data? Practice, draw a trend line on the scatter plot given. So trend line, remember, goes through the center of all the points. So I'm going to start right about here. It doesn't have to start at 0. It's supposed to go through the center of all of the points. Just act like you're driving through a set of cones right in the center of all of the points, just like that. It's not supposed to connect the points. That is a trend line that goes through all of the points. Number 4, find the slope and y-intercept of the linear equation, y equals 1/3 x minus 5. The equation of a line in slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. M, as we know, stands for the slope. B stands for the y-intercept. So in this one, the 1/3 is the m, and the -5 is the b. So m is supposed to be 1/3 because it's before the x, and b is -5. D is your answer. Find the slope of a line that passes through the points -3, 7, and 3, 9. The first thing you do when you find the slope is label your points x1, y1, x2, y2, just like that. And the slope formula, when you're given 2 points, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 minus y1 is 9 minus 7, and x2 minus x1 is 3 minus, the minus sign comes from the formula itself, and the x is -3. So don't forget the double negative. When there's the double negative, it's like keep, change, change. It changes into positive. So 9 minus 7 is 2, and 3 plus 3 is 6. Reduce it, always reduce it. It's 1/3. Slope is 1/3. Find the equation of a line that has a slope of 4. So I'm going to put m equals 4 and a y-intercept of -2. So everything is based on y equals mx plus b. This is the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. We're going to put those numbers in, substitute those numbers in. M is 4, goes right before the x, and the b is -2. This is the equation of the line, and that's all you have to do. Number 7, a bicycle club went on a 6-hour ride. The graph below shows the relationship between the number of hours spent on the trails and the number of miles traveled. What happened in the 3 to 4 hour time period? Okay, so I'm going to go over to the 3 to 4 hour time period. I'm going to draw a dotted line up, and this is the time period that they're talking about. So this is 3 to 4 hours, and we're talking about this part right here. What happened here? So think about it. They started at 0 hours, which is right here. Started right there. And they were traveling. Time went on. In 1 hour, they went 10 miles. In 2 hours, they were about 20 miles. In 3 hours, they were about like 32 miles. So they're traveling along, and then all of a sudden, this happens. So an hour passes, and they're still at 32 miles. So they took a break. At 3 hours, they stopped riding, maybe for lunch. For lunch, they took a break. They did not start riding again until the 4th hour. You notice that it goes up like that. So they took an hour break. All right. Number 8. The graph of a function is shown below. For which interval of x is the function decreasing down from left to right? And linear is straight. So decreasing and linear. So I'm going to get my highlighter out on this one, and I am going to go, all right, so this is increasing and straight. That's not it. This is not increasing and decreasing. That's a slope of 0, but it is straight. This one is decreasing and linear. All right, so that's where it is, right there. So I am going to take my pen and now go up from this. By the way, 10, in between 10 and 20 is 15. And the time it stopped decreasing is to 40. So in between this amount, it was decreasing and linear. So in between 15 and 40, C is your answer. Number 9, find the slope and y-intercept of the linear function below. The first thing I'm going to do is put y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to solve for y. You subtract 3x on both sides, you're trying to solve for y. So this 5y comes down, equals, I'm going to put 10 minus 3x. You can also put this, you could also put it as 5y equals negative 3x plus 10. It's the same thing, it's just switching the negative 3x with the 10. All right, if you don't like to do that, don't do it though. Then you divide by 5 on both sides. 5 cancels, y comes down. That's what you wanted to do, is to get y alone, because you have to solve for y equals mx plus b. Now you're going to do some division, and the division right here is 10 divided by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. This right here you know is the slope, so you're going to leave that fraction alone. This is negative 3 over 5, and you put the x right next to it. If you were doing it this way, you would divide by 5, and the only thing right here, this negative 3 over 5 would come down, x, and then this is plus 2. And it would be the same, it's the same answer. So find the slope in the y-intercept. You did that to find the slope in the y-intercept. You now found the slope as negative 3 over 5, because that's the number before x. And the y-intercept is 2. Number 10, which association correlation best describes the data? Draw a line of best fit, then answer the questions. So I'm going to draw a line of best fit. Remember, when you draw a line of best fit, it goes through the center of all of the points. You're not connecting the points. This is a negative trend. Negative because it goes down from left to right. An outlier is a point that stands alone and away from the rest of the data. So there is no outlier here. There is no outlier in that first graph. I'm going to draw a trend line here, and the trend line looks like that. The trend is positive because it goes up from left to right. Again, no outlier. I'm going to draw a trend line right here for this third one, right through the center of all the points. The trend is positive. And this one has an outlier. There's the outlier. It stands alone. When you draw a trend line and you have an outlier, you kind of ignore that outlier. And that's it. Number 11. Find the equation of the line using the points listed in the table below. So we are going to, every time you find the equation of a line, you have to write down the equation in slope-intercept form just to get things going. And you have to find the slope and the y-intercept. When x is 0, this table has a nice 0 for the x. When x is 0, the other number is the y-intercept. So it's given it's like a gift. So b equals the negative 2. To find the slope, you have to do x1, y1, x2, y2. So x1, y1, x2, y2. And the formula is for the slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 is 28 minus a negative 2 becomes positive. Then you have 6 minus 0 on the bottom. This is 30 divided by 6, and m equals 5. So you have a slope of 5 and a y-intercept of negative 2. Now it's time to make the equation. Y equals 5x minus 2. The graph picture below is Sandy's water dish. I guess Sandy's a dog, I guess. All right, so Sandy starts with a certain amount of water right there, and What is one possible interpretation of the section of the graph from 30 to 60 seconds? So we're only going to look at this part of the graph right here, 30 to 60 seconds. So if you follow along, Sandy is, nothing's happened to the water here. The water is staying the same. The amount of water is staying the same. Then all of a sudden, 15 seconds in, Sandy starts drinking. The water starts going down. Then all of a sudden here, and this is the part that they want you to focus on, right there, water stays the same level. So let's take a look at the choices. A, Sandy was drinking the water between. No, she wasn't drinking. The water's staying the same levels. Sandy stopped drinking the water and investigated noise. Yes. Sandy tipped the bowl of water over. If she tipped the bowl of water over, it would drop down like this. So she didn't. And the owner filled the bowl up. If the owner filled the bowl up at that time, then it would go up. But it's not. It's staying the same. B is the answer. Find the slope of the graph line below. We've done a lot of these. So you're going to pick your 2 points. I'm going to look for 2 good points here. Actually, they give you the points. So this one, so use the ones that they give you. This one and this one. I'm going to make my rise over run just like this. And this line is going down, so it's definitely going to be a negative slope. So we're going to have m equals rise over run, and m equals, just put the negative out there already. It's definitely going to be negative. So we're going to count down 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's -4 because it goes down. And then the run, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the rise over run is now -4 over 6. And you see I have this negative out there already. You could put the negative with the 4. You could put the negative in front of the fraction. It's the same thing. But don't put the negative with both numbers, the numerator and the denominator. So reduce it. It is -2 over 3. And this slope is -2 over 3. All of these will be multiple choice. What can you conclude about the graph of a line given the equation y equals -5x? Well, I see a negative right there. Has a slope of 5. No, the slope is -5. So that's out. The line has a y-intercept of 0, -5. The y-intercept is 0. So that's wrong. The line passes through the origin. The line rises from left to right. It doesn't rise from left to right. It goes down from left to right. Yes, it goes through the origin. This is a direct variation or a proportional relationship. The cost to rent a boat includes an initial fee of $9. The initial fee, that is your B, 9, plus $6.50 per hour, which is your X, $6.50X. Which equation models the relationship between total cost, which is y equals, and the number of hours, X, the boat is rented. So that's what it should look like. This is your answer, B. Anytime you see, I know it's not always, but anytime you see something that says per hour, that's going to get charged over and over again. That's the number that is your rate. That's the slope. The graph below models the cost of renting a car. What is the initial fee and the cost per hour to rent the car? So there's 2 things that you have to figure out here. You have to figure out B and you have to figure out M. The B is the easiest. There it is. It's 15. Initial amount, 15 gallons. That's good. This could be the answer. Initial amount, 0 gallons. Wrong. Initial amount, 7 gallons. Wrong. Initial amount, 15 gallons. Could be correct. So let's go ahead and pick another point. I'm going to pick the point that's closest to it. So this is going down 1. That's going down 1. And then The run is 25. Be careful because that looks like it's another 1, but this is going by 20. These are going by 25. It's the x-axis. All right, so it's rise over run. So the 25, so 50 miles per gallon? No, that's not it. 25 miles per gallon. Good. D. Identify the correlation for each of the scatter plots below. I was wondering. All right, so the correlation for A, it's going straight across. So you can't really say it's positive or negative. This is a negative. This is a slope of 0. All right, so you really can't answer that as a correlation. B, there's just like there's points everywhere. So this is no correlation. All right, there is no correlation. It's not going negative. It's not going positive. There's no pattern. Really, B is no correlation. This one, I'm drawing a trend line here to show the correlation. This has a negative correlation. And this one, D, showing as a positive. Goes up from left to right. C goes down from left to right. Which point in the scatter plot appears to be an outlier? An outlier stands out from the rest of the data. There it is right here. And okay, that's at the 18th week of the paycheck, 165. So here's the 18. We're going to go up, and there it is, and it's around $165. So D is your answer. Number 19, which graph shows a function which the rate of change and the y-intercept are both positive? So first off, y-intercept being positive, you know that that it has to be a positive y-intercept above the axis of 0. So the y-intercept has to be above the origin. This one right here, we could already say or see that the y-intercept is below the 0, 0 part. So this is a negative y-intercept. Whatever it is, it's negative. So they're looking for a positive y-intercept. That's out. This has a positive y-intercept. And let's say rate of change has to be positive. That means the rate of change is going up from left to right, and they're both positive. This one right here is at 0, so the y-intercept is not positive, and this one also is at 0. The y-intercept is not positive. C is your answer. Number 20, the last multiple choice question. What equation represents the line in the graph? The first thing that I'm going to do right here is just look at the line. It's a negative slope. This is going down from left to right. I'm canceling A. I'm canceling D. All right, negative slope. Now also I have a y-intercept of 5. Both of these that I have left, these choices, have a y-intercept of 5. So now I'm just going to do the rise over run. I'm going to go down 2 and run 1. So the slope is negative 2, rise over run. Over run. And the slope is negative 2 over 1, which is negative 2. So the equation of this line is y equals negative 2x and plus 5. So B is your answer. Skipped. All right, number 21. This is the first question that is an open-ended question. All right, so we did something like this in class. A cab company charges $30 for boarding as a boarding rate. So the $30 boarding rate is the initial fee. So initial. Oops. Initial fee. And initial fee, you know, is the B. So the B, I'm just going to put down here is 30. In addition to that, it's $10 for every mile, and $10 for every mile, that's the slope. This is the rate, which is M. M is 10, and I'm going to put it over 1. All right, it's $10 every 1 mile. And the equation is y equals 10x plus 30. So I'm going to just remember that I have to put labels. So down here for the x-axis, we're going to put miles. And over here on the y-axis, we're going to put money. So every time I start this, I am going to start at 0. And I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. On the way up the y-axis, so this is where you might have to reread it again. The boarding rate is 30, and then it's 10 for every mile. So I'm going to put a break right here, and I'm going to start at the boarding rate, which is 30. And I'm skipping to 30. And then from there, I'm going to increase 10 every time I go up, because I know that that is my rise over run. For every mile you go, it's 10 more dollars. So I'm making it easy for me to graph. So I go to 30 using my initial fee, and then I use the slope to go up on the graph from there. Anything before, since you charge $30 from the start, anything before 30 does not matter. So at 0 miles, you're charged $30. This is your first point right here. At 1 mile, 10 more dollars, and then you go up like this, just like that. And that's why you increased on the y-axis by $10, because if you use your slope, your graph will pretty much always look like this. Remember, at 0 miles, you're at 30, because as soon as you step into that cab, the cab company charges you $30. Anything before 30 does not matter. Remember, put the equation on the line, and that's it. What is the initial cost? The initial cost when you stepped into the cab is $30. What is the rate? It's $10 per mile. And that question is finished. Number 22, Tim is selling tickets to a school sporting event to raise money for his club. He put some extra money in his box before he began. As he sells the tickets, he records the number of tickets he has sold to the total amount in the box. Some of his data is shown below. All right, so this is a table of values, total money from ticket sales. So obviously, it says assuming all the tickets are the same price, write an equation that represents the situation in the table, part A. Find the equation of the line represented in the table. So this is a lot of work right here. But first thing that you have to do every time you see a table of values, you have x1, y1, x2, y2. So you're going to try to figure out slope. Slope is y2 minus y1. And actually, I shouldn't even be doing it up here. I'm just going to do it over here, which is where it says show your work. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I labeled already, so it was 146.25 minus 108, which is y1, 0.75. x2 minus x1 is 13 minus 7. So that's 37.5 over 6. And then when you divide it, you get 6.25. So you have your m. Now you have to find your b. And I'm looking for an x. This would be your x. This is your y. And there is no 0 here. So the b is missing. So every time the b is missing, you have to use the point slope formula. And this is the point slope formula. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So looking back at the table, I already labeled y1 as 108.75. So I'm going to use that. Y minus 108.75. My m that I figured out was 6.25. And the x1 I'm going to look up as 7. So remember, we did this in class. We have distributive property right here. So this is y minus 108.75 equals 6.25x. And 6.25 times negative 7 is negative 43.75. Now I'm going to add the 108.75 on both sides because you have to solve for y. This cancels. Y equals 6.25 plus 65. And that's your equation. Y equals, and when you write the equation, just make sure you have y equals, because that's an equation has to have, and this has an x. Don't forget that. Plus 65. So it's y equals 6.25x plus 65. Looking at your equation, how much was initially in the box before he sold any tickets? Initial value. You figured that out using the point slope formula. There was $65 in the box before he sold any tickets. You don't really have to explain it because you just showed all the work, and that backs up your answer. Number 23. Use the linear function 6x plus 2y equals 10 to answer the following questions. Find the slope and the y-intercept of 6x plus 2y equals 10. So you have to solve for y. You have 2y equals negative 6x plus 10. Divide by 2 on both sides. You have y equals negative 3x plus 5. Went on to the graph there. Negative 3 over 1, because we're graphing it, and this is 5. So now I'm going to graph it. I'm going to start with my b, because that is my y-intercept. My y-intercept is 5. So, and then don't forget, put the arrows. Down 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 1. Down 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 1. 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 To get some more points, 1, 2, 3 up to the left 1. And that's all you could do. Go ahead and connect all of those points. And don't forget, put arrows on each end and label y equals negative 3x plus 5. You always put the y equals mx plus b equation on that line. So it says create, C says create an equation that is parallel. Parallel, remember, it has to have the same slope. The same slope. So my slope is y equals negative 3x plus 5. I'm just going to put y equals negative 3x plus 10. All right, find the equation in point-slope form of a line that passes through the points. You have x1, y1. x2, this is y1. This is x2, y2. So you find the slope of the line. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you have 8 minus 5, and you have 6 minus 5. So you get 3 over 1, slope is 3. So now you have to use the point slope formula. So you have y minus y1 because you're missing the y-intercept. So y1 in my case is 5. The slope is 3. Going to substitute it in. My x1 is 5. Y minus 5 equals 3x minus 15. We're going to do this distributive property. You add 5 on both sides, add 5 on both sides. You get y equals 3x minus 10. And that is the equation. Y equals 3x minus 10. And that's it.